This edition focuses on irrigation and water conservation. So we have numerous practices that have been seen, and why this has been important is the reason why we will be studying this, and that is in the last year itself we have seen a record time production increase in the food grains, and there is where we require better irrigation practices, better water conservation practices, so that optimum utilization can take place and minimization of the waste could be occurring. Now, sustainable agriculture is what we have on top priority. India, with nearly 17.5% of the population, has nearly only 2.3% of the land area, and therefore a huge population pressure on a mere area that is seen. And what is important is therefore the management of the soil. Now there are various efficient water management practices. Those could be drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigations that we would be talking about. Now what are the various irrigation schemes that are there? We would be understanding those in a while, but before that let's understand the schedule. So when we talk about the schedule, we need to know when to irrigate, how much to irrigate, and what proportion of water should be applied to a particular land area. Now you have various researches that are being done by ICAR, that's the Indian Council for Agricultural Research, and so on. Now these all researches have shown that land leveling should be proper. This increases the water efficiency and brings in better management of the crops. So when we are doing scheduling, we need to know the water requirements, the soil characteristics, and whether it is a kind of waterlogging soil or you have a clay soil, a sandy soil, how much proportion of water is required by what kind of soil, and optimum water utilizations could be therefore created. Now there are various methods of irrigation. We would be understanding some of those today. For example, check basin and border strip. This is one of the most common practices, but the efficiency is less than 20%, and therefore you have lot of wastage that goes. But however, as we said, this is the most popular practices among Indian farmers, and this is a form of surface irrigation. The next is furrow irrigation. Now furrow irrigation is where you are trying to irrigate the rows of crops and vegetables that are seen. So you have a raised level bed that is seen, and 20 to 30% of the savings in the irrigation can be simply done by converting it to a raised bed furrow. So that is how we have more infiltration of water that could be seen. Surge flow is another method. There what we are trying to understand is we are trying to have a constant and variable time of the water flow that is being seen, and this is aimed to increase the efficiencies in the process of irrigation. Also we are trying to limit the irrigation processes that are there. So we have micro irrigation, which is one of the most efficient methods of irrigation. You have only 13% of the area which is under micro irrigation. The idea is it increases the productivity and increases the water use. So enhanced water use is seen. Most of the states are the developed states in India which are following the drip irrigation practices in India. Then you have the various schemes. So we have already talked about these schemes, the Krishi Sinchai Yojana, the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. Then we focus on Har Khet Ko Pani, the concept of drip irrigation taken from Israel, the Mohave Desert area, where we are trying to increase the efficiency to nearly 100%. We are also trying to bring in better yield, high quality crops, better fertilizer efficiency, and reduce the weed growth that is seen. The next is sprinkler irrigation. Now sprinkler irrigation is similar to a natural rainfall. So you have water that sprinkles on the top of the crops that are seen. You have low energy precision applications that are seen, which bring in efficient energy alternatives. You have water being delivered to the crops from the drop tubes that are seen, and therefore is much more practical. The next interesting concept is fertigation. Now here we are trying to apply fertilizers through the irrigation system. So by the means of irrigation system we are trying to sprinkle fertilizers, but here there could be over fertilizers that could be seen, and also there could be non-uniform distribution of fertilizer or chemicals. That is one of the major limitations that is seen. The next is subsurface drip irrigation. You have low pressure, low volume of irrigation system which is mainly running through the tubes to apply water. Now water conservation, higher efficiency are some of the disadvantages that could be seen here, because you have the soil suction mechanism that occurs when you are trying to move the water through the system, and water moves in the soil across all the directions that are there. Then you have deficient irrigation practices. Mainly in the arid and the semi-arid areas you do not have adequate irrigation irrigation practices, and therefore we say there is deficit or less amount of irrigation practices that are seen. So how do we regulate it? We regulate it through water use efficiency of the crop, which improves the quantity and the quality of the soil, and also we are trying to provide better leaching that could help cope the salinity issues. The next is the partial root drying. Here, half of the root is kept wet, half of it is dried, and alternate sets are applied to it, and this creates a balance between the vegetative growth and the reproductive growth of the plant. We also have ergonomic practices where we are talking about the management of soil as well as the fertilizers that could be used, the disease and the pest control that should be there, and a kind of sustainable water management that could be seen. So we have numerous traditional methods of management or soil management or practices that are taken into account. The next important one is contour tillage. Now contour tillage is where soil cultivation is made along the slope of the land. So what happens is you have the soil which is left with small furrows, and then you have ridges that are there to prevent those furrows or runoff, we could say. So you have a furrow and a ridge. In the furrow you have the soil, and the ridge prevents the soil from being the runoff from being flowing away. So that is how you have contour tillage that works. Broadbed plantation is another technique where you are trying to do irrigation in the furrows, the broad beds that are created, and it saves nearly 30 to 40% of the water. You also have conservation tillage, which is also known as the zero tillage, and here the retention of crop residual to the surface is done by plantation of more crops. The surface crops acts as a mulches. So you have mulches, reduced evaporation that is seen. Now what is mulch? Whatever the crop residue is left is scattered onto the top of the soil, and as a result it prevents the wind erosion, and as a result you have improved infiltration that is seen, reduced evaporation losses that are seen, and reduced losses from wind erosion that are seen. Organic manures could be added. Addition of clay could be done because clay controls the water percolation that is taking place in the soil. The next is how do we control the acidic nature. So pH scale is through which we measure the acidity or the basicity of the compound or the soil. So higher pH basically talks about deep rooting, intensive cropping patterns, and better crop development that could be seen. So we have weed control through weedicides that are seen, integrated pest management systems where we have same amount of inputs that are used, which could be water, fertilizer, or any other related inputs. And then you have smart agriculture. The name itself suggests you are trying to use artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things. A very good example is where you have recently used in the case of locust, controlling the locust through the drones. The next is spraying of the pesticides. Now if the pesticide is sprayed over an acre of land, it requires nearly 400 liters of water. With the help of drone, it's just 8 liters of water. So nearly 392 liters are conserved. If we talk about conserving this over a span, it turns out to be nearly 4,000 liters per acre. So definitely with the smart technologies we are consuming less of water and bringing in more efficiency, better productivity, better crops with reduced losses and reduced wastage that could be seen. So economic survey talks about shifting the productivity from land productivity to irrigation water productivity. Jal Shakti Abhiyan is again a very important parameter here. We are also focusing on micro irrigation techniques where we are trying to minimize the use of water. Electricity consumption has to be reduced, irrigation cost has to be reduced. So as we said, precision technology, precision agriculture with use of IT, drones, robots, or intelligent irrigation systems are used. Now where this artificial intelligence could be used, where you try to apply the cognitive functions. Now these could be in the form of planning, learning, or any other formats. The next is blockchain, where you are trying to create a transparent digital record system. Now this works by mapping the data, transferring the important information through the value chain, and working with more robotics. So you have soil assessment, it could be monitoring of the crop, protection, crop insurance systems, and autonomous swarms. Now autonomous swarms are multiple copies of the same robots. Each of those would work independently and they would work in parallel. So within the farm, if you are trying to, let's say, sow down the seeds or spray in pesticides, you would have multiple robots that would be working parallel parallel. So it's not just that one robot would be trained, but each row would be assigned to one separate robot which could work. So definitely IoT, artificial intelligence, have brought in breakthrough changes in the agricultural setup. We also have big data analytics, where we are trying to provide right monitoring of the soil moisture, right prices, bring in right agricultural inputs and the right selling point. So maintaining the database, machine learning and statistics are some of the important focuses. Now, higher water use efficiency, you have India has nearly 38% water use efficiency. So definitely there is a huge way forward where we could improve. So crops per drop is very important. We are trying to increase the productivity. Now there are various irrigation methods that are used. Which irrigation method do you think is the most efficient? Is the micro irrigation, and how it works we have already discussed in the previous sections. Then we also have the water accounting systems. Now this focuses on a transparent water allocation system. Developed countries like US, China, France, Iran have better water allocation systems. Malaysia is again a very good example, where you have water auditing processes that are working very smoothly with water, the national water balance systems that are implemented with computer modelings. Also we are talking about smart irrigations through sensor based control, which talks about locally installed sensors which could adjust the timing of the irrigation. The amount of the water should be supplied based on the temperature, the rainfall, the humidity conditions. Also we are talking about signal based control systems, where we are trying onto the weather updates. We have initiatives from smart agriculture which could be taken in account from Niti Aayog or from economic development models. You have various pilot studies that are being conducted. Agri Udan is one of the initiatives through which 40 agricultural startups have been enabled in the cities like Chandigarh, Ahmedabad, Pune and so on. The idea is to bring in innovative techniques in the agricultural field, especially in the case of poor rainfall, climate change, bringing climate resilient crops, and creating a kind of agricultural modeling with seamless framework, where you have information on nutrients, rainfall and moisture stress. So that is again one of the important aspects. Now with the agricultural development, AgriBot is one of the major developments. So AgriBot drones, as we said, we already talked about how water reduction could be done for spraying of the pesticides. Similarly, the control of the locust, as we have already discussed. Now blue tentacles is a very important concept. This is a precision based AI system started with the Italian startup, and it prevents water wastage, conserves energy and brings in digital technology. With IoT we have numerous autonomous agricultural irrigation solutions that are there. You have various mobile device control systems that are there in the name of Kisan Raja to monitor the farmers' water use judicially. We are also focusing on the challenges. Now when it comes to challenges, we have higher population, higher rate of urbanization, more pollution of the waters and industrial growth. Between 2018 to 2050, India accounts for nearly 35% growth in urban population. Along with that, we are looking forward to add nearly 400 million plus dwellers in the urban areas, and therefore the per capita amount of water has declined. So how we can judicially use water is very important. Jal Jeevan Mission, where we are trying to provide adequate quantity of water to each rural household, is another important initiative. We are trying to bring in various facilities to help people get access to most important aspects, where we focus on functional household tap connectivity. We talk about Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. We have the functional tap connection to the various schools and the colleges, sustainability of water systems, requirement being fulfilled through groundwater and rural water systems. Also we are trying about treatment plants for the water, distribution networks and better movement of the water through technological interventions that could be seen. So Jal Shakti Abhiyan by Ministry of Jal Shakti occurs in 3 phases. The first phase and the second phase has already been done, and there has been a large scale communication development that has come in place with water conservation, reuse of water, recharge of the bore wells levels that have been seen. Also, the Krishi Sinchai Yojana we have already covered in detail in the previous lectures, where we focus on sustainable water conservation, exploring the municipal waste waters, retreating them, recycling those waters, and then using it again for the various purposes. So we have some of the statistics that are there. When it comes to groundwater crisis, the problem is definitely acute. The problem of zero day in South Africa is well known. We have identification of nearly 100 water stressed districts in India. Now, Jal Jeevan Mission aims to recharge the water, check the water desalination, rainwater harvesting. We are trying to bring in more water resources that could be developed, and conservation of groundwater. Now, India, if it is believed that you have 1000 to 1100 cubic meters of water. If the capacity declines below it, we would declare the regions as water stressed, and whole of the country could even be declared as water stressed in certain scenarios. As per the international norms, the water is scarce and water is stressed. The two capacities are different. So for water stress it is 1700 cubic meters, for water scarce it is 1000 cubic per meters. Also, we are trying to bring in better solutions for this problem. So you have National Institute of Agricultural Economics and Policy Research working towards water guzzling crops, and moving from more water guzzling crops to less water guzzling crops, less dependence on water for irrigation purposes, and more efficient crops that could be drawn, hybrid crops to be developed for the same. We are also focusing on 5-point technology for rainwater pouring in the farmland, and that has been done in Yavatmal under the natural farming practice. The first way is to carry small insects who live in the soil as the carriers. So 30% of the total water received by the area seeps into the ground. Then we have grid locking technology. Then followed by it we have micro locking and contour farming, and finally a locking trench, where whole of the farmland would have given slope on one side and a trench is dug parallel to it so that the extra water percolates down. Also, you have the Daryapur block in Amravati, where you have water being utilized in a unique way. Participatory irrigation management is another technique where we are using waters, farmers, and the management of the irrigation system. So all these are combined in one hand. You have irrigation, cropping intensity, and spatial and temporal variations that are taken into account. Now, what are the phases? Initial 20 years from 50 to 70s, we have capital intensive irrigation. Then this was followed by irrigation improvement technologies, and now we are bringing in more reforms in the field of irrigation. So we are basically moving towards water policies in India which are based on people's management. You have better irrigation management that could be seen, full utilization of the governance that could take into account, and a irrigation management transfer that could take place, which reduces the cost. You have more technical progress, the technical problems are checked, and a strong collective basis is being developed. We also have various structure development for the water use associations that are there. Now, if there is a minor project, you have it managed by one water user association. If it is a medium project, you have a apex body at the project level from 2000 to 10,000 hectares, and beyond it you have a major irrigation project system where you have a water user association at a minor level, and then you have various distributory committees that are seen. So the hierarchy or the management committee comprises of the following members, and then you have the various issues that are taken into account. For the command area development, you have Krishi Sinchai Yojana that is taken into account. And then if you look on to the enactment of the participatory irrigation management across the various states, we have the graph which shows the analysis and the schemes across the various states of the country. Then we have the number of the water user associations that are formed, and we can see you have a very high proportion in Andhra Pradesh that is being seen, and along with Andhra Pradesh you have Odisha, which are the two leading states that are there. The next is, if we look onto the participatory irrigation management transition system, we have the vicious cycle of the irrigation and the virtuous cycle of the irrigation. So the institutional participation strengthens this. We have faster farmer satisfaction, faster recovery rate, and bringing in sustainable irrigation practices for the same. So 2016 budget announcement focused on increasing the coverage of irrigation, bringing in more better irrigation projects that could be there, identifying the area. So we have the given statistics that is there for you here. So these statistics is very important for your answer writing case, and the various states where you have the major projects that have come up. So the name of the projects and the states can be an plus to your answer writing. And then we focus on the command area development and water management. So you have the Indian Council on Research for International Economic Relations that talks about the states which are not ready for command area development and the states which have performed exceptionally good. We have the PM Cares funds which has been developed to fight against COVID. Also yoga has been one of the major focuses of the government. The previous edition of Yojana focused on yoga and the various 8 limbs of the Patanjali Yoga. So these have been discussed again here. The various asanas that have been popular are again important. And then the most important one is the Self-Reliant India, the various funds going under various schemes, again very important. So you have those in the handouts. You can just go through those for more details. So with this we cover the Kurukshetra edition for the June. We would be covering many further updates on Yojana Kurukshetra and down to earth. So don't miss, stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead.